fellow knitters, Clubkidknitter back with you, and I decided to make an addendum to my hexagonal knitting series because I had several questions in a couple of my knitting groups about how to go about making a perfect hexagon or drawing a perfect hexagon as a guide to when you actually do your blocking, so that all of your hexagons come out to be the same size, which is important because you're eventually going to be grafting these together using the Kitchener stitch, and so you kind of want your sides to match up to facilitate that, and so you don't want one side that's maybe this long and then another, trying to match that up to a side that's this long and so on. So I wanted to make this video to show you a very easy way to construct a perfect hexagon. Now, a hexagon, of course, is a six-sided polygon. So it has six sides that are they're all equal in length. And so if you kind of take a step back and look at the actual anatomy of a hexagon, one of the things that you'll discover is that a hexagon is made up of six equilateral triangles. So for example, like this. And then of course the next side is this, and so on and so forth. Now, an equilateral triangle is a special type of triangle. It's a triangle that has sides where all three sides are equal in length, hence the name equilateral triangle. So I'm going to show you a very easy way to make one of these so that you can then easily create a hexagon that is, it's perfect in that each side will be the side that you need it to be. And this technique doesn't involve any mathematics, so for anyone that was thinking that you had to use mathematics for this, that's not the case. You don't have to do that. It's actually very, very simple to construct one of these just using a couple of tools. Okay, so for this you'll need a few items. You'll need a piece of paper. It can be a scrap piece of paper. It can be a blank piece of paper. It could be a piece of junk mail. It really doesn't matter. And then you'll need a pen, you'll need some scissors, and then you'll need a good ruler, or a ruler that has a good straight edge to it. So this one is a ruler that has that's in inches as well as centimeters. I'll be using the inches side, but you can also do this easily on the centimeter side. And then you'll need a few T-pins, and then eventually you'll need your blocking mats. And of course I recommend putting 4 together. They interlock with teeth, and you'll need 4 of those configured in a 2x2 pattern. I got mine at Walmart in the kids toys section for around $15. So very, very good investment for knitters. I know quite a few knitters out there that use them, but I do highly recommend them. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is we need a line, as a very straight line as our reference, and the line has to be perpendicular to the edge of the page. So that's why this technique I'm about to show you is the easiest way and probably the most accurate way on achieving that. So all you do is you take your piece of paper and then you fold it lengthwise, and you want to make sure that the edges match up, because that's how you'll achieve a line that's perpendicular to the edge. And so you just crease it like this. Now what I've done to kind of facilitate in the video because it's kind of hard to see otherwise, I did actually draw a line down my crease, and that way you can easily see it. Okay, so let's talk about the hexagon first. The hexagons that they're knitted in the series, or the hexagon that I knitted in this series, it is from the expansion, her second expansion pack, which are the flat ones that are 45 rounds. So per gauge, and the ones that I've knitted, they came out to being where each side of the hexagon, so each of the 6 sides, measures 6 inches. And so basically what that means is tip to tip, the hexagon measures 12 inches total. And then side to side, they measure about, I think it was 10 3/4 of an inch. So what that means is we need to make our equilateral triangles so that each side is 6 inches long. So the first thing that you do is you just take your ruler and very close to the edge, and if you figure 6 divided by 2, because we're working on either side of this line that I drew, so that's going to be 3 inches. So all you do is you take your ruler, place it very close to the edge like this, and then just put a dot that, right on the edge at the 0 mark, and then you put your second dot again along the edge at the 6-inch mark, like so. So that's one side of our triangle. So now we need to do the other 2 sides, and we have to ensure, again being an equilateral triangle, that those 2 sides are also 6 inches. So very easy way to do it, and just takes a little bit of patience, and you just want to go slow. So you kind of start your ruler, and you're looking for the 6 inches right here, and you want to get it close to the line that I've drawn, or the crease. So all you do is you put the ruler, the 0 mark, which is on my left. You want to put that to the dot, and then you want to maybe just kind of adjust slightly to make sure that the 6-inch mark is on that line, because that line is going to represent another corner of your equilateral triangle. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And then you just draw a line from that first dot all the way to the 6-inch mark right there, that comes to right there. Right there. And then now all you have to do is just connect this point here to the other point that was on the right side, or to the right of your line. And then we'll draw a line connecting those 2 dots, like so. Okay, so now we've actually drawn the equilateral triangle, and of course we didn't draw this one because that's already cut for us, because it's the edge of your piece of scrap paper. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut out my triangle, and just go slowly. You don't have to do, you kind of want to be as accurate as you can, because to the extent that your equilateral triangle is accurate, so too will be your hexagon. So if you want to go ahead and cut yours out, and I'll finish cutting mine out, and then I will meet you back here. Okay, I'm back, and I've finished cutting out my triangle, and then I've also put together my 4 mats that I'm going to be using as my blocking board. Now I wanted to show you something real quick. These mats have 2 sides to them. There's kind of a rough side, or a side that's got texture to it, and then there's a side that's smooth. I always use the smooth side because it's easier to draw onto the mat, because that's what we're going to be doing, is we're actually going to be drawing our hexagon on here. I guess another way that you could do it, if you didn't want to mark up your mats, because you intend on using them for many other projects, you can actually, if you have a big enough piece of paper, you can actually construct your hexagon onto that, and actually maybe even maybe a piece of vellum paper or mylar, which is it's like a slick surface, and it can actually withstand water. So you wouldn't want to do this with cardboard, or you wouldn't want to do this with paper, because we are going to be wet blocking these hexagons, and of course that would ruin those. So you want to have something that you can use over and over and over again, and that could be a piece of vellum, because vellum paper will be waterproof. But you can most certainly construct your hexagon on that, and then you can place your hexagon down, the piece that you cut, you can place down here on your mat, and then you can lay your work on top of it and then just pin it in place and then let it dry that way. So that's definitely an option. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be drawing directly onto the mat, because I will be using these quite a bit for this project. Okay, so to start with, if you notice, you've got this this center right here where the four mats kind of cross in an X, where all four corners kind of meet. So this will actually be the center point of our hexagon, and so this is where we're going to be coming out from. So first thing that you want to do is you want to kind of mark a straight line. And so to do that, you just take your straight edge, and then you kind of start right here from the center, and then you just kind of eye what looks to be straight. So that looks relatively straight. And then what I can do is just kind of mark a line here, and that's going to be my guide. And kind of the configuration, or the way I'm going to arrange my hexagon, is I'm going to arrange it with a side, the bottom side if you will, facing south. So I'm not going to align it this way, like where there's a point headed south. I'm actually going to align it so that one of the six sides is going to lie at the bottom, if you will. So now all we have to do is just line up the very, very tip at where those four mats meet, and then I'm going to adjust it until the fold, and it's probably easier if I flip it around so you can see the line I made, because that's the line I'm going to be using as my guide. And so if you put it again at the very top, and then just rotate carefully until the line that's on the triangle lines up with the line that's on the mat. Okay. Now at this point is where your T-pins will come in handy. So what you're going to do is you're going to put a pin right in, or at this point here, and then I'm going to put a pin right at this point here. Just like that. Now I'm going to take my triangle away, and then I'm going to pick up my straight edge, and then I'm just going to kind of slowly just kind of push it up to these 2 points here. Don't jam it so that you kind of run over them, but just up like that, and then starting at the pin that's on the left, just draw across, and then stop at the pin on the right. Okay, so we've just drawn one side of our hexagon. So now we're going to move on to the next side. So I'm going to put that tip right up to the pin, and then I'm going to slowly pivot so that this tip again is at the center of where my 4 blocks meet. And then I'm going to take another pin, and then I'm just going to put it in right at that tip there. And then once again I'm going to take my ruler and then just kind of like so. And then I'll take my pen, and then connect those 2 pins like that. Okay. And then I'm once again going to take my triangle, and then I'm going to put that tip there at that pin, and then I'm going to make sure that the tip is, or my point is at the center again. And then I'm going to take the first pin that I used. Actually, I'm going to leave that one in there. I'm going to take the second pin, and then I'll put that up here, like so. And then again, just the ruler up 2, and then connect the 2 pins like so. And then once again I'm going to put my point there at the center and put that tip there, and then I'll take this pin here and then poke it there like that. And then again just the ruler up like that, and then connect those 2. Okay. And we're almost done. We just have 2 more to go. Or actually, 1 more. So we're on our last pin. Alright, so put this again there, the tip in the center. And then I'll take this pin out, and then I'll put it here. And then I'll take my ruler again on my straight edge, because at this point you don't really need a ruler for measuring anything, you just need a straight edge. And so it can be really anything that will achieve that. But as long as you have the same ruler that you used earlier, you might as well just continue using that. Okay, now let's check and see if we did this right. So now we need to see if from this to this is 6 inches. And so if you put your triangle down, and then again this point going to the center, and then we'll just finish this right here. Okay. And at this point we're done with these pins. So usually what I do is I usually block with a total of 12 pins. And I usually just keep them in the corner of my blocking mat, all up here, or anywhere really. But I always use a pin for each corner, and then a pin in the center of each side. And that's when I use my those 16-inch DPNs to block a completed hexagon. All right, so that is how you do, or how you construct or draw a hexagon that you can use to block all of your hexagons for the Persian Dreams blanket. And all you need is just to make a triangle, and it's very easy to construct one of these, and don't need to use any math for it. Just a couple of numbers and on your ruler, and then of course some scissors, and you're good to go. Alright, so if you haven't viewed the other videos in the series, I recommend doing that. Please do provide any feedback or comments. I do appreciate them and welcome them, and also please subscribe to my channel if you found these videos helpful. Happy knitting, and thanks again for watching.